Welcome to another episode of SportsVibe. I'm Arnav Sarkar here with Jitesh Ramakrishnan. Deep into the 40s, almost at episode 50, but playoff sports are starting to heat up. We finally have the full NBA playoff bracket ready to go. The play-in starts tomorrow at the time of this recording. It's a Monday, so try to get this episode out by later tonight or latest tomorrow. So it'll be ready for the play-in. The play-in starts tomorrow. NBA play-in tournament. So we'll have the Lakers taking on the Pelicans, which they were just in New Orleans, so they probably didn't even have to go home for that game. Another matchup there. Lakers knocked off New Orleans yesterday on the last day of the NBA season, where there was 15 games or 15 playoff seats that were yet to have been decided, and we got our answer. So play-in tournament will start tomorrow with Lakers Pelicans at 7:30. Warriors Kings in a exciting rematch of last year's one of the best first round series there, Sacramento. Yeah, so those are the seven. That's the Western Conference side of it. Lakers Pelicans is 7-8. The winner will get the 7th seed and play Denver, which the Lakers might not want to do, given recent history. And then the 9 and 10 game, the winner plays the loser 7-8. So those are the rules for the play-in tournament. In case you guys needed a refresher, I certainly did. Just to make sure. And then on Wednesday, the Heat take on the Sixers in Philadelphia. Sixers have been hot since Joel Embiid got back, but because of Embiid's long absence, the Sixers struggled a little bit. They seem to be getting their groove back at the right time. They play the Heat, another team that's notorious for turning it on at the right time. And then the 9-10 game, Bulls and Hawks. Seems like a lot of the same teams make the play-in every year. I was kind of realizing, I feel like last year the Bulls and the Heat and all these teams are kind of in it, but that's the seeding. The seeding in the East has kind of been locked and loaded. Well, at least seven. No, that's not even true. But like 9, 10, the Bulls and the Hawks have been there for a while. But yeah, I mean, a lot of shuffling in the Eastern Conference. Celtics, of course, first place in the NBA with a 64-18 record, a 2-game win streak after losing to the Knicks. They bounce back, took care of some bad Eastern Conference teams, and they'll have home court for the entire playoffs. The Knicks grabbing the 2nd seed, which I feel like I didn't have a good feeling they were going to be able to do that, but they ended on a 5-game win streak. They knocked off the Bulls in a thriller. Yeah, I mean they've been pretty hot lately on the 5-game win streak, but knocking off the Bucks, Bulls, Celtics, my Nets, and then the Bulls again. So yeah, they have the 2nd seed. Pretty impressive considering. I mean, it felt like an uphill battle to get there, but it's been a good season for New York. I think OG Anunoby is healthy. I think Julius Randle might not be, but Knicks are ready to go. I feel like probably make a deep run. Celtics probably the one team it's probably still better. The Bucks have been kind of underwhelming the way they ended the season. But they're the 3rd seed. Let's see what Dame and Giannis could do. They have a date with the Pacers, and the Cavs and Magic is the other matchup. I think the Cavs actually ended up pulling their starters against the Hornets, the awful Hornets team, and they drew the Magic, trying to get a easier first round matchup, I guess. Let's see how that works for them. So yeah, in the East, Bucks Cavs. That's a series. Bucks Cavs. Cavs Magic is a series. Could be an interesting one. Bucks Pacers certainly an interesting one. There's a little bit of a rivalry between them both in the Central, and I believe there's something about the Pacers taking Giannis's game or something like that, and him wanting to get it back. So there's a little bit of bad blood there. But those are the two that are locked in. 2nd seed are going to host the winner of, or not host. They're going to play the winner of Philly Miami tomorrow, and then I guess Boston's going to play the other team, whoever comes in gets into the 8th seed when this is all said and done. Out west, Thunder won the battle for the 1st seed, tied with the Nuggets with the record, I guess, but they had the tiebreaker. So that 3-way race at the first, with the 1st seed came down to the final game. Thunder able to pull it off, which is remarkable considering how bad they were just a couple of seasons ago. They're definitely ahead of schedule on the rebuild, and I feel like they still have a million first-round picks still. But it'll be exciting to see how they progress in the playoff run. Denver Nuggets, defending champions, right behind them at 2nd. The Timberwolves took a loss to Suns, but will end up in the third seed where they'll also play the Suns again. Clippers in fourth, Mavs in fifth. So a common first round matchup. It feels like they play in the first round every year. So another series between those two teams. This will be an interesting one. Luka Doncic, obviously, the year that they've had. The Clippers, going all in this year. They've been healthy. That could be a good series. Timberwolves Suns is going to be interesting. We'll also play great all year. The Suns also getting hot at the right time. I feel like obviously a deadly team with Kevin Durant. We'll see if they can make a run. Obviously Durant, Booker, and Beal, and then into the play-in race. Into the play-in race, I already mentioned it. Pelicans taking on the Lakers again. Winner gets to the 7. They'll play Denver, so might be good for the Lakers to avoid that. Given recent history, some people are even saying they should throw the game, but I don't think that's ever a good idea. But in this case, it might be. And then obviously Kings taking on the Warriors in the 9-10. So as I mentioned, winner of 7-8 gets to play the second seed in both conferences. The loser of that game plays the winner of 9-10, and then the winner of that is the 8th seed. So yeah, that's the NBA rundown in terms of seeding, play-in, playoffs. It's all in front of us. I'm glad we got to this point of the season. This is the NBA second season. This is where it really starts to matter, and I'm excited. I really am excited. It should be good playoffs. Let's get the ball rolling. So so I mean, do you have like any predictions on the? I guess we'll start. Do you have you want to like predict the each matchup in the play-in and try to pick the seeds, and then we could do the same for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first round. I guess we could go
No,
that
no, no,
far.
no, no, no. I think we'll just do the garbage plane first, and then
Right.
let's see.
Yeah.
The first round officially kicks off when Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday. This games are
Okay,
on Saturday.
all right. Well,
Yeah.
I think first. Let's see. So okay, so Bulls Hawks. I definitely think the Hawks will win that one. Sixers Heat. I'll give it to Miami, and then so it'll be a battle. So then what that Heat would go against the Knicks in the first round. The Hawks would end up going against Boston, right? And then no, right. I don't know if I had that right. But regardless, in the East, I think Atlanta beat Chicago, and I think Miami will beat Philadelphia, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I think there. And then I guess the battle for the 8th seed, Chicago and Philadelphia. Without any doubt, I think Philadelphia wins that one. So then, yeah. Uh, So then,
Interesting.
at, so then, crap. I'm just trying to imagine this. So, just give me a
Yeah,
second.
it's like a little bit of it's tricky, but basically your
Yeah,
7th seed is the Hawks, right? And then no, the Hawks are the 10th seed, and then but then they beat the Bulls, and then
yeah,
so then
yeah.
they go to the
Atlanta.
loser,
Yeah. So then the Bulls would go to the no. So the winner of 9-10. So that'd be Atlanta.
right?
Would verse the
Yeah, plays the
loser
loser of seven
of.
eight,
So then Atlanta would verse
Sixers Heat,
Philadelphia, and then I
right?
think
For the 8th
Philadelphia
seed,
would win that one. So Philadelphia becomes the
okay,
8, and then
right?
Miami would become the 7. Yeah, yeah. There we go.
Miami's 7. Okay, yep.
Okay.
So then that one, I
So
guess, in
then,
your scenario, then the Heat would play the Knicks, and then that's another interesting first round possibility. And then the
I
Celtics would play
I
the Sixers, which
I
be
would yeah I would not be
an interesting.
I would not be surprised if Heat next goes 7. I really would not be surprised. It would be a rematch of
Ooh,
last year's second
that'd be
round
an
series.
interesting one.
I th-
Yeah, both
e-
of those
and
two
even though
are rematches of seconds. Yeah.
and and even though Julius Randle will probably not be back for the rest of the playoffs, I think the Knicks have enough to just barely outlast Miami, just barely. Uh, then Bucks Pacers. I'm calling an upset uh, because there really isn't that much difference in their record. So I don't know if you can really call that upset. I think Pacers win in 6. Uh, see, Cavs Magic. This one's a little bit more interesting because it's perhaps the most unpredictable of any of the first round matchups. Um, I think because Cleveland has some experience from last year, I think they'll carry over, even though they lost in the first round to because the Knicks they lost to last year in the first round, right? I believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
I
Knicks
think.
beat the Cavs last year in the first round
Yeah, all right. I think I think Cleveland will win it in 5, and then so then Boston
against the
would
Magic.
play.
Yeah, makes sense.
Boston would play. See, I said Atlanta.
They play Cleveland, right?
No, no, I'm
This is
talking about
1 or 5.
Boston's matchup here. Oh yeah, Boston would play
Oh,
Philadelphia
in the
76ers.
oh
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
I
yeah,
would take the Celtics in 6 of that one.
in 6, yeah.
And then
Right, okay.
For the West, Kings Warriors. Um, this one's
It's like a
interesting
one
because
game. That can go either way.
this one's interesting because the
Yeah.
Warriors are significantly weakened, and the Kings haven't played up
Mm-hmm.
to their potential.
It's, right.
Um, at the end of the day, when it comes to playoff runs, you got to trust the experience. So I think I'd have to take Golden State on that
Yeah,
one. And then Pelicans versus
yeah. In the
Lakers
one
with
game set, yeah.
Anthony Davis getting hurt as usual. I'll take New Orleans. So then, uh,
He's been healthy
so
like all season this season actually, but yeah.
yeah, surprisingly, normally he
Oh,
gets no.
he's back. Yeah, he said he wants to play, but I mean, yeah, first time since like a long time.
Yeah,
So you got the
so then
Pelicans beating the Lakers.
yeah, and then let's see. So then the Pelicans would advance to a date with Denver, and then it'd be
Right.
that'd be yeah, and then okay.
Well,
All
yeah.
right.
Then the
So then
Lakers
the
would
winner
play
of
the
9 and
winner of
10. So then the Lakers would play
which he said the
Golden
Warriors.
State. Yeah,
Oh my
Lakers would
goodness.
play Golden State, and I think with AD or no AD, I think LeBron. I think LeBron and the Lakers would take that one. So it'd be
Yeah, I think so.
Lakers Thunder. Thunder will absolutely
Mm-hmm.
destroy them, probably in 5 games. Uh, Clippers Mavs. I'm gonna say Mavs in 7 on that one. And then T Wolves and Suns. I'm calling an upset watch. Suns in
Ooh,
6. And then Denver versus the Pelicans. I I imagine that would be a sweep for Denver.
right. And you
So
said
I've got a
wait,
couple
between the Thunder and
Thunder and the
between
Lakers.
the Thunder and the Lakers, like yeah, who did you say is gonna win that one? 5?
The Thunder should destroy the Lakers.
Thunder. It's an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I got
All
a
right. So
couple
yeah,
upsets,
you have a
but nothing
couple
special.
upsets. Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing
Actually,
special.
wait. I just noticed both my upsets are the 3v6 matchups.
3v6. Pacers over the Bucks. Yeah, that could happen. I mean, I just feel like the Bucks have been underwhelming this regular
And
season,
I
and I don't know.
I
Yeah,
think Phoenix can push past Minnesota. I really do.
I think so too. It's very possible. I mean, yeah. All right. Well, why don't I do mine, and I'll tell you where I agree or disagree, what I think. But yeah. So East playing. Um, where are we starting here? Or the
Mhm.
playing tournament. So yeah, I guess I could start on the east side of the bracket too. So then Hawks. Um, well, we can go Heat Sixers first. I don't know. I mean, I think the Sixers are better this year, and the Heat aren't quite as good. But I'll take the Sixers to win that one at home, get the 7th seed, play the Knicks, and then I'll go. And then the Heat would play the loser of, or the Heat are the loser of that game. They play the winner of Hawks Bulls. I think the Hawks take it too. I mean, Hawks have beat some quality teams, and they've kind of like a similar Heat type of thing where they can beat good teams and stuff. The Bulls don't really have it this year, I don't think. Yeah, so I take the Hawks on the road, and then the Sixers advance to play the Knicks. The Hawks would take on the number one Celtics, or Well, I mean, no, they played the Hawks would play the Heat then, but then I'd say the Heat would beat the Hawks for the for the eighth seed. So then basically, um, things kind of just go according to their normal seeding, basically the way I have the East, and then in the West, the Lakers Pelicans. That's an interesting one. Everyone's saying the Lakers should lose on purpose to avoid Denver, and that's not even the worst idea. But um, yeah, I think the Pelicans could take it probably. I don't know if it's gonna be intentional or not, but I think they could probably take in a one game set. And then I think I'm partially saying this because I don't want the Lakers to get swept again, but also it could just happen that way. But Warriors Kings I think is very interesting. That could be a good matchup. I got the experience of Golden State in a one game set, especially. I mean Steph and Clay, and the Kings haven't been, themselves like from last year either, and even last year, Golden State in seven. So yeah, I mean, I kind of yeah, I mean, I do like the Kings, but I go Warriors there. So then Warriors would advance to play the Lakers. I think the Lakers would have it this year's. AD's been healthy. LeBron's going to be there. I mean, they have shooters. I mean, I think they can, they can hold off Golden State for the final playing spot. But I mean, there's been some good battles between the two teams this season. So it's always exciting when you get LeBron stuff for, basically a chance to make the postseason. There's been good games this season. So basically, yeah, for my West, I guess I just have things again like slotted like normal. And that's a little boring, but Pelicans, Lakers in the dance, Kings, Warriors out, but the Warriors getting past the Kings. So then I guess that would set up our playoffs. Yeah, my equations are easier here, but that would basically set up Celtics Heat in the first round. Ooh, that's spicy. That is a very spicy matchup after what happened last year. But I don't know. I just don't see the Heat having a run like that this year, unfortunately. I don't know. I mean, at the same time, the Celtics are a better team this year as well, even than they were last year, and they've been a buzzsaw. I think the Heat will be pesky, but I think the Celtics could take in like 6 because I don't want to say 5 because I feel like the Heat are going to give them more life, just like they give the Knicks like a good fight. Like you have them taking the Knicks to 7. The Knicks are also good, but I think Celtics would take the Heat in 6 this year, get some revenge. Next Sixers, that's a very interesting first round series as well. Sixers with Joel Embiid, that could give the Knicks like a very hard time. Oh man, like that's a tough one. I don't really like either of these teams either, so it's just like, it's like I'll probably say Knicks in 7, but I could see that one going either way. The Bucks Pacers. It's like an underwhelming Bucks team who still has more talent than feels like every team in the East impressed me except for the Bucks. Like all the contenders, like the Celtics, the Knicks, the Cavs, even the Magic at times, and they've kind of fallen a little bit off. But I don't feel like the Magic are gonna make a run. But like Celtics, Knicks, the Cavs, the Magic, the Pacers even have been playing with some fire. The Bucks, if it came to Bucks versus Pacers, I think the talent is gonna show up. Bucks are still at least somewhat contenders this year, so I think the Bucks would take it in a hard fought. I'd say 6, but it could go 7. But I think the Bucks win that first round series, and then Cavs Magic. It's been a good year for the Magic. They started at the top of the standings. They kind of fell a little bit. They kind of but playoff debut there for Paulo Banchero. I think the Cavs are going to be a little too much. You still got Donovan Mitchell. They got a good team. They've been playing. At one point, they were with the hottest teams in the league, and I just don't feel like the Magic quite have that experience. I think the Cavs are going to benefit from their experience from the Knicks last year. I think they have more talent. I think I'll take the Cavs in 5 as well. So yeah, so that's my first round in the East. I guess shifting over to the West, if we end up with Thunder Lakers, that's like it's tough because again, it's like more, it's like the Thunder have been playing such good basketball this year. The Lakers kind of haven't. So, but they have LeBron and AD, and they could turn it up in the postseason. But I take the Thunder in like 7. I'll go Thunder in 7 there. Denver, New Orleans. I go Nuggets in a sweep, maybe 5. Probably a sweep.
Okay, so I guess Arnav's frozen, so um, I guess I'll continue the show. So I'm just gonna assume what he says and say I'm gonna assume he goes T Wolves in 6, and he takes the Clippers. No, T Wolves over the Suns in 6, and Clippers over the Mavs in, and probably also 6, maybe 7. That's what I anticipate he's probably gonna say. So then let's see. I guess that takes care of the NBA. On to the NHL. So um, let's see. So here comes the fun part. So the West is pretty much already set. We have the Stars at first, the Central, the Jets at second, and then the Avs at 3. Really, Colorado can possibly overtake the Jets. Will it happen? I'm not too sure. Um, but yeah, that should be interesting. And then Vancouver pretty much Vancouver pretty much has the first locked up in the Pacific. Edmonton has the second pretty much locked up, and the third could be a contest between. Well, the third seed in the Pacific is definitely a contest between the Kings and the Knights. Both teams have played 80 games apiece. Kings have a 1-point lead, 97 and 96 respectively. Nashville has, seeing that Nashville's in the Central, they pretty much have their first wild card spot locked up. So looks like they'll most likely. Uh, it looks like Nashville might most likely be playing Vancouver. Yeah, and then Dallas would end up taking the wild card 2 spot. Dallas could either play the Kings or the Knights. That would certainly be interesting. I think if I were Vegas, it'd potentially be in my best interest to um, maybe not take the third spot in the Pacific because Edmonton, like ever since their horrible start to the season, Edmonton has been pretty much lights out, and Edmonton's riding a massive hot wave. And of course, Vegas, with everyone coming back from the injured reserve, Thomas Hurdle, Mark Stone looks most likely to play a game in the first round. Vegas should be a formidable foe for Dallas in the first round. So, yeah, um, that should certainly be an interesting matchup right there. Um, let's see. And of course, the seeding will change. The seeding will or will not change between Winnipeg and Colorado, but regardless, those two will probably be duking it out in the first round. That will be a bloodbath because both teams are locked and loaded. Both teams have a tremendous amount of depth. They have amazing players. Nathan McKinnon, in my opinion, should win the Hart Trophy. Um, and so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, yeah. So yeah, now going back to the East, Boston, Florida, they're still battling for first in the division of the Atlantic. Um, I, oh, there you are. You're back. All right, so
Yeah.
Boston's at 109, Florida's at 108. Toronto has a 3 seed locked up, so uh, Toronto will either be playing Florida in the first round, or they'll be playing Boston if Boston relinquishes the first seed in the Atlantic. And of course, we know for the past 10, 11 years, Boston versus Toronto matchups, they've been very fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and especially with
Right.
the Bruins taking the crown 3 times, 2013 with the one of the greatest comebacks in hockey, 2018 and 2019. Um, of course, there is an X factor, and it's hard to call him an X factor when He's pretty much the catalyst for the Leafs offense. Austin Matthews has been absolutely lights out, and even though he plays for the most disgusting team in the NHL, yeah, I'll say that. Montreal, you're slightly less disgusting than Toronto. Austin Matthews, generational goal scorer. He might possibly have the new successor to Ovechkin. He's been absolutely lights out. His 2022 season was absolutely magical, and somehow he's already eclipsed that with his goal scoring. Austin Matthews could very well possibly. I mean, Toronto has 2 more games to play. Austin Matthews could very well touch 70, and that's a mark we haven't seen in a long time. So, uh, I, let's see. I'd very much be interested in seeing that. I'd also be very much interested in seeing Toronto choke in the first round yet again, like their old stereotypes. That would also be a lot of fun to watch. And then in the Metro, the Rangers sit at 112 games. I mean, 112 points. The Hurricanes sit at 111. Both teams have 1 game left to play. There is a possibility Carolina can still clinch the first overall seed in the Metro, and I mean, well, really the entire Eastern Conference. Or all New York has to do is just win, and they will clinch the first seed across the conference. And right now, in the third seed for the Metro, the Islanders are sitting there at 90 points. So right now, it seems like they're in a fairly comfortable territory. With at the time of this recording, Washington is playing the Bruins. Washington's up 1-0 at the end of the first period. However, if Washington loses, that means in all likelihood the Islanders probably clinch. Of course, there's still Philadelphia there, and to an extent Pittsburgh in the race, but that begs to, I mean, but that's just for clinching in the third spot of the Metropolitan division. And of course, Tampa has their spot closed. They've had it closed for about a week now, I think. So Tampa Bay will most likely be playing either Boston or Florida in the first round. Either way, expect fireworks. And then the race for the second wild card, aka the spot no one wants to claim for some reason. Washington and Detroit and Philadelphia all tied at 87. Pittsburgh's right there at 86. Philadelphia has 1 more game left to play. The other 3 still have two to go. I really want Detroit to clinch the playoffs, but when they had that 7-game losing streak a few weeks ago, that seemed to really kill off everything. Of course, Detroit's been trying to bring it back. So, I mean, really, in hockey, all that matters is if you can make the dance or not. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to say the Islanders clinch the third spot in the Metro, and they'll play Carolina in the first round. So that'd be a rematch of last year. And then I'm going to say Detroit ends up taking the second wild card.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, so my internet cut out, but I was basically saying, I guess to finish the NBA thing real quick, I'd probably go Clippers over Mavs, especially this year again.
Oh, so I predicted that right. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just making standing guesses for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the last one, right? That I think that was the only thing I missed.
I
think
don't
I got
even
it
remember. I
beforehand.
don't even remember what you said for Minnesota versus Phoenix, but
Oh,
I just made a
yeah.
decision that you'd go to Minnesota.
Oh, no. I mean, I think Phoenix takes in 6, but why don't I just why don't I just do the picks without the analysis just to reiterate, and then I'll get to
It's
my.
fun. It's fun.
Okay.
We can
I
just
mean, I
pass
think
on
we
it.
already got it. Yeah, we already got it. So yeah, I go Suns in 6. I go Clips in 6, and then Stanley Cup thoughts. Since we already covered the NBA. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much pretty well said. I mean, the West is pretty much decided at this point. You know. Yeah, I
Of
mean,
course, Winnipeg and Colorado, they could potentially exchange places.
they
Right there,
could exchange places, but that matchup is pretty much locked in
and
stone there. Jets Avs.
yeah, that matchup is locked in. But of course, we
Right.
could potentially of course, the one thing to really watch out for is if the Kings and the Knights end up swapping
Yeah,
places.
that's an interesting
However,
race for sure.
I don't think it being the Knights' best interest to do that because, for one, we can get Oilers Kings for a third year in a row, and we love
Mm,
that because those
yeah.
series always go long. Both teams hate each other, and it's perfect. Uh, and of course, if you remember uh, who Vegas played in conference finals last year, that was Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
and Vegas showed that they're able to uh, beat beat the Stars in six. Now, of course, they're gonna have Mark Stone coming back from injury. They're gonna have Thomas Hurdle coming back from LTIR. So there, you could argue Vegas is a more formidable foe compared to last year. And however, this time, if I were to say something like the Dallas Stars certainly look a lot more balanced and cohesive as a team this year than compared to last year. So, um, yeah, it should certainly be interesting to look out for. But of course, since the seedings aren't exactly locked in yet, I don't know if we can exactly make predictions because
Yeah, it's a little
really
hard to
it's
make
a tight
predictions
race
when you don't
regardless.
exactly. Yeah, it's hard to make predictions when you don't exactly know. But yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, just yeah, my thoughts. Yeah, Jets Avs probably locked in. It's a tough one to predict, but I mean, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think I'd
I'd
give
probably
that
go
one to
Avs, right?
Colorado and six. Colorado and
Yeah, I
six.
think I'd go
But
Avalanche. They have like more playoff experience. They won a cup a few years ago. I think that they're playing well. I mean that could carry over, and they're neck and neck with the Jets, who are on a 6 game win streak.
yeah,
But
and
yeah, I'd
then
probably go Colorado and something
see,
similar
and
to six.
I personally hope we have Edmonton versus Kings
Right.
for a third year in a row. That's what I hope. If that
Yep.
does happen, I still take the Oilers in six. But
Sounds about
if it
right
ends
to
up
me.
being Oilers versus Knights, I think I might have to go Vegas in seven on that one.
Ooh,
I think
yeah,
I might have.
yeah.
And
Vegas
then
has that pedigree,
yeah,
that
and then
championship mentality and stuff. So
Vancouver versus Nashville. I think this one is perhaps the most underrated first round matchup we can
yeah,
get. Um,
could
I
be
think
spicy
that
now.
I give it to Vancouver in seven.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
think
do.
the Canucks are a pretty solid team this
Yeah,
year.
and
Yeah.
regardless, Dallas versus if it would be Dallas versus Kings, I give it to Dallas in about
Hmm.
five. And if it's Dallas versus Knights, I think I'd probably end up going Vegas in six.
Who? Yeah, like Vegas has that playoff mentality. That would be interesting because the Stars been quite better regular season team, but the Knights also beat them in the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'd go Knights in seven. I don't
yeah,
know.
and I
That'd be
guess
tough.
and then going back to the East, if it ends up being Florida versus Toronto, I think this matchup should be a lot closer than what it was last year. But regardless, I take Florida in seven. Or if it ends up being Boston versus Toronto, I mean, heck, I have to go traditional bias here. Boston in seven.
Yeah.
Um, Partly because I really enjoy laughing at Toronto.
Yeah.
Uh,
Another one of
yeah,
those.
and seeing that Rangers and Hurricanes could still possibly be fighting for first seed in the Metro and also first seed in the entire conference.
We. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh
that
yeah.
means
Conference.
potentially. Yeah, I mean, as of right now, things are slated to be Carolina versus the Islanders. Of course, I'd probably take Carolina. Maybe, yeah, I'd take Carolina in five,
Yeah. Carolina.
and
Yeah.
then as of things right now, I mean, of course, there's a million options to choose from in the wild card, so we'll just go through it. Rangers versus Capitals, without a doubt. I think Rangers win in five.
Yeah.
Rangers versus Red Wings. I think Rangers sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers versus Philadelphia. I'd go Rangers in six. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess that's my picks for the East. I mean, of course, since the East has so many doors left wide open, um, with the playoff implications, it's certainly it's certainly more difficult to predict and analyze than the West. But
Right.
it's I don't think it's all that difficult to look at the picture because I guess looking in forward momentum right now, I mean, Washington probably might have the best chance to get into the dance
Mm-hmm.
compared to the other wild card spots,
Yeah.
especially if the Islanders already have it locked up. Of course,
Yeah.
what Detroit needs to do, Detroit needs to. They play Montreal both times. Currently, at the time this recording, Montreal is leading Detroit 2-1. So Detroit pick up the slack, and then they play Montreal again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So if Detroit can beat Montreal today, that
And
certainly
that's
put a lot of pressure on Washington. Uh,
right.
and of course, Washington's playing the Bruins right now with a 1-0 lead in the
Mm-hmm.
second period. So yeah,
Yeah.
so this makes things incredibly interesting. Of
Yeah.
course,
And then
uh,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, they're getting ready for their last game of the season, which ironically is against Washington. So
That's a huge because both teams have 87 points, and they're both vying for a spot there. Also against the Red Wings. So I mean, yeah, whoever wins. I mean, the Red Wings have to probably win both, I would think, and then the Islanders, I think, have the upper track right now. And they have a 2-1 lead against the Devils, who are ending their season tonight. Um, but yeah, I mean, Caps Flyers. Probably whoever wins that would also have a good chance of clinching a spot, especially if the Capitals also beat Boston tonight. Yeah, a lot of moving pieces in the East, which makes it tough, but like you can start to see it coming together. And then, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough because then we don't even know what the Panthers and Bruins, which order that's going to go
yeah,
in. I mean, I
and
feel
of
like you did
course,
a pretty good job
and of
summarizing
course,
it, though.
there's a very slim possibility Boston themselves could clinch the number one overall spot in the conference. I mean, of course, Rangers would
Two
have to lay
wins.
a goose egg. Um, oh wait, Rangers are at 81 too.
Yeah, this
Who are the
this is our
Rangers playing
last
right
game
now?
here. Yeah.
Okay, the Rangers are playing Ottawa right now, so I
Hmm.
think I think the Rangers should be able to hold their own right now. And of course,
Probably. Yeah.
if
Hmm.
the Rangers beat Ottawa, they clinch the first seed in the
They
conference.
clinched the
So
President's Trophy too. Actually,
that's
yeah.
right. That's right. They clinched the President's Trophy. So yeah. So Rangers beat Ottawa, then pretty much everything is settled. Carolina's locked in at 2. Of course, really the main changes are who's going to be the first seed, who's going to be the second seed of the Atlantic, and of course, maybe, just maybe, uh, by Tuesday, because yeah, by tomorrow, because everything should finally be settled. Maybe we might finally have the answer. Who the hell wants to play in the playoffs as the second wild card team?
Yeah. This has
Because
been
the
like
answer is
the
still no
yeah.
one. Because the
Yeah,
answer is
because like
still no one.
that's true. Because everyone seems to be falling off, like a hill. Well, like the Capitals lost like 7 straight, and then the Flyers lost like 8 straight or something. And now
And
I guess they both started to get it going a little bit. It's a bad
Pittsburgh
race
would
for
have
the last spot. Yeah, and the
yeah
Pens
Pitts,
are in there too.
no, I mean like Pittsburgh would have had a really good chance if they had beaten Boston a couple of days ago, but they
Yeah,
lost 6-4.
right.
But if the Penguins had gotten those 2 points, or even just 1 point, and we would have had Washington, Detroit, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh tied for 87,
Ooh.
I think I would have lost my mind.
Yeah, no, this has been a really exciting second wild card in the Metro, or well, the
Yeah,
third for the third spot in the
just the
Metro. It looks like
East.
the Islanders have that, like most likely they'll be able to take care of that one. They have the Devils today, and then the Penguins tomorrow. They'll most likely get that, but then yeah, the second wild card in the East is still yet to be decided. The Red Wings still in
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Caps, Flyers,
yeah.
Pens,
Again,
all right in the mix. Yeah,
yeah. If the Islanders beat the Devils today, they essentially clinch the third spot in the
yeah, they'll have
Metro.
92.
So,
Yeah. Mhm.
so they'll have another date with Carolina like they did
Yeah.
last year,
Yeah.
and hopefully this time, if you remember from last year's matchup, hopefully this time, the right Sebastian Aho scores for the right team
Yeah,
because Carolina has Sebastian Aho,
right.
and the New York Islanders have a Sebastian Aho, and the Islanders Sebastian Aho essentially had an own goal for that went in Carolina's favor
Oh boy. Yeah.
last year.
But this was
So
like 2 years ago, right? Because last year wait, no,
it
wait,
was last year, I think.
y- it was. Oh, because I remember. Well,
Yeah,
the Devils played
because
the Canes in the second round, right? And then the
yeah,
Canes,
yeah,
did the Canes, the,
the
the
heart
Canes played the Isles in the first round, then and then the and then the Devils, right? Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, it was last year. Yeah. Because then the Devils beat the Rangers in the first round. Yeah, so yeah, that all got very interesting with Carolina. But yeah, and the Sebastian Aho thing. Yeah, with the East, I mean, it's an interesting race there. Boston, Florida. I'd probably say like either of those two could beat the Leafs if it comes down to that. The Lightning, I guess they'd have um. Would the Bruins get the Lightning in that case?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
And
because I forgot if
so
it's like
you can't.
cross divisions or not.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. So it's like really, it's like whoever clinches the first seed,
they play the
you have a
weakest
day.
wild card, right?
Well, weakest
Or
Tampa Bay.
the lowest
Yeah,
seeded wild card, and then you're
yeah.
right, and then the second seed or the second division winner plays the higher wild card, right? That's
Yeah,
how it works. Yeah,
so I don't know if it's me. I find like even though I prefer like pretty much all sports fans prefer the one v8 tier of
I
playoff
like the one
structure.
v too.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's me. I think the seeding of understanding is it's easier to comprehend for hockey than it is for the ridiculous playing tournament for the NBA. But,
Maybe, yeah,
but
because that
maybe
one
that's
can be
just me.
tricky. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so
Because
it's
7, 8, 9, 10 gets a little complicated. I still feel like I understand NBA is better, but no, I mean I get the NHL one.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
really like
basically 2, 3 in the division, and then it's the top seed plays the lowest wild card, and then the top division winner plays the lowest wild card. The lower division winner plays the higher wild card. So in this case, we get a same division Bruins or whoever wins the Atlantic taking on the Lightning. Um, I mean, I think the Bruins or Panthers could take Tampa this year, but it'd be interesting.
I
And
mean
then yeah, but the
I
Lightning
mean
also could.
I mean, like, I guess the one question to really answer is like, you know, which team would be more optimal to play against in Tampa Bay? Because, of course, Florida and Tampa Bay they've matched up previously in the playoffs a couple
Yeah.
times, and the Lightning have had their number.
Yeah, I feel like
And
the Lightning could beat the Panthers this year, even though they're lower seeded. And then,
yeah,
but I feel like the Bruins could just probably. I think the Bruins could beat the Lightning, and then I also think the Bruins could
I
beat the
mean,
Leafs, and the Panthers could beat
listen,
the Leafs.
I'm a biased Bruins fan, obviously. I'm honestly not too sure. I mean, of course, the burning questions this entire season for the Bruins is how are you going to replace Patrice Bergeron? How are you going to replace David Krejci? They're the number one and two centers for the Bruins, and you could possibly argue for the past 10 years the best one and two center depth in the NBA in the NHL, and but Charlie Coyle and Paul Wasaka have stepped up quite nicely. The Bruins have been surrounding themselves uh, with lots of great pieces, have been coming together. Of course, I would have loved to see Matthew Poitras play in the playoffs, but unfortunately he can't because he's still recovering from shoulder surgery, which kind of sucks. But
Hmm.
so, mm, yeah. So the question is, who would fare off in a matchup better against against Lightning? I think Florida would fare better better against Tampa Bay than Boston
Hmm.
because one think about it too from the NHL perspective, we'd have an original six matchup where both teams hate each other, and we'd have a Battle of Florida where
Yeah,
both
see,
teams
I
hate
would
each
like
other.
that would be really fun. Like another Florida Tampa Bay, and then Boston Toronto. I mean, we need more. That would be like ideal, but depending on what happens, yeah, we'll see if we get that or if we get Bruins Lightning and Panthers Leafs, and if it were to end that way, I'd probably go Boston and then Florida to win, and then if it were the other way around, if it was Panthers Lightning, I'd probably give the Lightning a better shot, and then I'd say the Bruins probably have an easier time with the Leafs than they would the Lightning too. Just the way they play in the postseason and
And
stuff
also,
like
and also Boston swept the series. They also swept the series this season against Toronto.
that against Toronto. Yeah, but that's just a rough matchup for the Leafs. But anyway, it's just like I could just picture the Boston's goal horn like ending their season again for like the
Uh,
15th time.
20,
But anyway,
2013, 2018, 2019, so many great memories there.
Yeah, I could just imagine that happening again, another first round exit. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Did
I
the
mean,
Leafs ever like get past that, or like I don't know? They didn't make
no,
the second round again, right? Or did
no,
they?
they unfortunately made it to the second round last year with an overtime win against Tampa Bay in Game
Oh
6.
yeah, right.
I
And then
mean,
they
but
lost to
however,
the Panthers, right, in
yeah,
the second round.
but
Yeah.
I think also these first round matchups are more interesting because I don't know if many people, and we'll move on to a different topic after this, but
Hmm.
I don't know if many people are talking about this, but we could potentially be seeing some seismic coaching changes depending on these first round matchups. Like Florida versus Toronto. If Toronto does lose that one, this might finally be the time Sheldon Keefe gets canned for the Leafs. And then Tampa Bay, if they lose in the first round, that'd be two. That'd be two first round losses under uh, under John Cooper's belt. Um, and two consecutive after three Stanley Cup Finals appearances with, of course, two championships. I mean, I highly doubt John Cooper would be fired. I think Tampa Bay would be seriously stupid if they do that, but it could. You never know. You could potentially see something happen. And likewise, if Florida ends up losing in the first round to Toronto or or to Tampa Bay. I don't anticipate Paul Maurice moving. I highly doubt that would happen. And let's see, going over to the West, um, let's see, Bruce Cassidy, regardless of what happens, I think he should be safe. If the Dallas Stars do lose in the first round, regardless if it's, I I, I doubt Dallas loses to the Kings, but if they lose to Vegas in the first round, I think Peter DeBoer would certainly be canned. Um, Winnipeg and Colorado. I don't think either Rick Bonus or Jared Bernard will be canned. Vancouver, Rick Tocchet's definitely not going to be canned. And Vancouver a was a dumpster fire last year, and Rick Tocchet is probably going to win the Jack Adams Coaching Award this year. He's done an incredible job turning around Vancouver. Quinn Hughes is a bona fide star, possible possible Norris Trophy winner, and certainly a very good piece to build around for the next 10 years for Vancouver. So I don't anticipate Tocchet moving. And seeing how Nashville went on this incredible streak, um, I highly doubt Andrew Burnett's going to move. And the Kings, they already made their coaching change when they fired out Todd McClellan um, a, a few weeks back. And same with the Oilers, they got rid of Woodcroft fairly early on in the season, and they got Chris Noblock in place. So I don't think those coaches are going to go anywhere. And so, yeah, do you, do you think there'd be any potential coaching shifts, like coaching changes, regardless of a first round victory?
Um, not really too sure, honestly. I don't know. Maybe for like the fringe teams, like yeah, depending on the way some of these series go, like yeah, maybe like I could potentially see like if the Stars lose or like if some of the like teams like that, like something could happen potentially, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to think like one series would kind of like make like a huge difference unless it was like a really big like upset, I guess, by like if a good team like lost like in the first round collapse, like that would be a different conversation. But honestly, not really too sure. I think most of them are probably going to be okay. But I mean, I guess like my Metro, because I talked about all the rest of them. For the Metro, I mean, I definitely have the Rangers. Like, I think they can make a deep run, even though I'm like a Devils fan. But I think they'd have no problem with most of these teams on
They
the list.
should the Rangers should get to the Eastern Conference Finals
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
without any doubt in my mind.
I think they're
Just a
looking at
matter of
a
who they play.
yeah. I think they're looking at a date with, um, either the Bruins or the Panthers. Like, whoever comes
I
out the
think
Atlantic side of it in the Eastern
I mean
Conference Finals.
like I said, as much as I want to be biased about the Bruins, and I certainly will make them in my biased pick, I also do have to make an unbiased pick.
Yeah,
Uh, so I think
Carolina's also in there. That could be an interesting one if they play the Canes like
uh,
second round or something too.
uh,
But it's still good. I think the Rangers can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then that'll be a good series between whoever wins with the Bruins
and
or Panthers or whoever comes
and
out of that
don't
side.
forget the Rangers and the Hurricanes did have a playoff matchup 2 years ago,
Yeah, I
where
remember that. The
Yeah,
Rangers took that one, right? And then they lost to
yeah.
Tampa.
Rangers took it in 7, then they lost to Tampa in 6 after
Right,
having a
right.
2-0 lead
Yeah, yeah, I remember
in the
that now.
series.
Yeah, 2-0 to 2-4, right? Yeah. So, but I mean, this year I think, yeah, whoever ends up playing the Rangers, I think they probably not have much of a problem. Flyers did beat them at the Garden, and they lost like 8 straight, and then they beat the Rangers and Devils. But I think Rangers would take just about everyone in that range. Yeah, pretty much everyone. And then Hurricanes, Islanders, I go Hurricanes, and then that'd be your second round, I guess, over there. And then, yeah, and then in the Atlantic, I would assume it would be Boston and Florida going to second round, and then whoever
I
wins
mean,
that,
Boston has had the latter half of momentum against the Panthers ever since that embarrassing day,
right.
which we shall not mention, even though I know the exact date of it.
Oh
Uh,
goodness. Yeah.
Boston has shown that while may not necessarily be matching the physicality and the play of Florida necessarily, they have shown that they've been able to scrap, they've been able to fight, and slowly chip away. So, like against Florida postseason, get this entire regular season series, I would say the Bruins have been kind of like the equivalent of Rocky One, where it's like you're just you start off like uh, not necessarily at the bottom, but you keep chipping away, uh, and like you're showing your resilience, you're showing off your tenacity, your ability to fight back. So, and so yeah, compared to last year when Florida snuck in, thanks Pittsburgh for sucking, and thanks Chicago for ruining everything. Um, I I mean I did not want to see Florida match up against Boston last year because was coming off incredibly hot, and even though they're the second wild card, they were the President's Trophy recipient the previous year, so the Panthers were still deadly. So of course the Panthers are still very much deadly this time. So you, like the Panthers, even though they were Stanley Cup finalists last year, you could potentially argue that they are still perhaps the most slept on contender in like true Stanley Cup contender in the NHL right now. You could possibly argue that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, those are all good points. It's definitely fair to say when you, especially looking at, Boston and Florida. But yeah, I guess one more point I wanted to make, kind of still on the NHL topic, but shifting a little bit like away from the playoff picture. I saw the Arizona Coyotes move to Utah to
Yes,
improve, so they
yeah.
will be going to Salt Lake City, leaving Arizona. This has kind of been in the works for a while. But I guess they were able to make the deal, and Arizona's going to get an expansion team. I'm also seeing, so that'll be
Well,
interesting. So
that's a rumor.
yeah,
That's a rumor.
but that's a
But,
rumor, yeah. But
but
that's interesting news. So the Coyotes are going to leave the desert. They struggled for a long time to get fans there. I feel like Utah's probably a
I,
good
I don't
hockey
I don't
market.
blame the fans at all. I blame the ownership
Yeah,
and the
the ownership's
management
terrible. The team's
and
been terrible for years.
no, no, no. Like what makes the ownership terrible is that their ownership has a those those turnstile doors like those turnstiles in like the subway terminals in
Mhm.
New York City. That's
Yeah.
essentially been their ownership. Rotate, 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 rotate,
Oh,
rotate.
yeah.
But for the even when they had Wayne Gretzky as coach back in the 2000s, the Coyotes sucked, and the the Coyotes have really had one memorable moment in their team's existence, and when we say
Yeah.
Coyotes, we also talk about the original Winnipeg Jets. They went to the 2012 Eastern Western
Western
Conference
Conference Finals
Finals.
against the
Yeah,
Kings, right? Yeah, yeah, I remember
yeah,
them making a deep run. I was just getting the hockey, like the Devils, the Coyotes. That was an interesting season for a lot of underdog teams where like made it far that year. I
yeah,
remember that. Coyotes, one of them.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't blame this on the fans at all because here's the thing: fans will show up if the product is good, and
Right.
the 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 Coyotes have essentially been on a perpetual hamster wheel for 10 years. Their ownership is garbage, and it came to the point where even the NHL themselves had to step in and be temporary owners for the Coyotes because there's no stability, there's no management, there's no vision at all. So, what are fans
Right.
supposed to do? Are they supposed to keep watching a product that sucks? I mean, you see what the Oakland A's are doing right now. I mean, they know it's a lost cause. They've given up on showing up to the stadium at all in Oakland because they know John Fisher sold the
Right.
team out. So it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. But anyway, I guess the point is, yeah, they're moving to Utah. I feel like that's a good, better, probably better hockey market. But rumored Arizona's rumored to get an expansion team, and we already have 32 teams in the NHL, so I'm not exactly sure
I
how
mean,
that would
I
work.
mean,
But
here's what I think. I think at one point I don't know when this will happen. The NHL will expand to 36. That's what I
yeah,
anticipate. But but now here's where things change because uh, wait, the, if I remember correctly, the Coyotes they play. Uh, the Coyotes are in the Central or in the Pacific Division.
they're in the Central now. I just saw that. I was looking at the standings to find them, and I think they used to be in the Pacific, but then since the Kraken and the Knights joined, they moved over to the Central
Okay.
to make it 8-8.
Okay. Well, if they're in Utah,
It's basically like the same time zone as Arizona, so I don't
yeah,
think it would
yeah,
really.
yeah, it is. But you just wonder if there would be. I mean, I guess for the time being, since Seattle's stepped in, I guess they could potentially still be in the Central. So the way to balance things out, from what I think, uh, here, here's what I think. I think, first of all, Nashville does not belong in the Central Division, as anyone who's taken a fifth grade geography class knows. Nashville plays on the eastern side of the United States. So I would move Nashville to the Metropolitan Division,
Mm,
and then famously before the Colorado Avalanche played in Denver, there used to be the Quebec Nordiques. I would bring back the Nordiques, put them the Atlantic. Now, now here's where things get real interesting. Sports are known for their rivalries, and even more than that, sports are known for their interstate rivalries. Houston, here we come. It's time for you to join the Central. And then, assuming everything's correct, let's see. So then I guess the Coyotes would have to pivot there, and then hmm, in the Western side, let's see. If we can even find a Canadian team, well, now there'd be 8 Canadian teams. So then, given that, Nashville's in the Metro, where they should be. Um, and we have Quebec in the Atlantic. Uh, so I was assuming when I was mapping this out earlier, I was assuming Arizona was going to be stable. So, but stable as in like the Central Division. So yeah, so I guess the Pacific. Hmm, hmm, because let's see, I mean, like I said, Nashville's still there, and let's just assume Arizona's still there right now. So that's still 32. So, and then of course with the addition of Quebec, that'd be 33. The addition of Houston, that'd be 34. Uh, so, but of course, Nashville now make it 9 in Metro. Quebec would make it 9 in the Atlantic. Houston would make it 9 in the Central. So then, yeah, um, you you rebirth the Arizona Coyotes to the Salt Lake City Yeti or whatever, and that's 9 across all the divisions. That's 36.
hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So we have 9 teams in each division. Yeah, I mean that seems like something to consider for the future.
Yeah. And of course, Canada now has 8 teams again. I mean, not again, but Canada now has 8 teams.
Right, if you put Quebec in there, and then yeah, right, yeah, and then we're adding a couple other ones too, right? So then yeah, so then we have Yeah, exactly. We'd have 9 in each. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if they're actually gonna do that. But I mean, they probably have to because 33 is an odd number, and then although they had that for a while with Vegas, and then they
Yeah,
added
yeah.
Kraken.
Vegas became 32. I mean, no.
Yeah, no,
Vegas,
the Seattle
Vegas
thing.
was 31. Kraken became 32.
And then if they
Of
add
course, not.
Arizona, and then they could
Yeah,
balance that with Quebec, I guess, if they want to add it. And then if they really wanted to, they could add a couple more. But no, that's all interesting. It's all interesting hockey talk. Obviously, yeah. I mean, I feel like we did a pretty solid job covering. We predicted all the NBA series and NHL series. And stuff. Took a deep dive. So yeah, I mean, I guess we could just shift over to MLB and then, we can call it an episode. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I mean,
baseball
before the
still.
MLB, yeah, before the MLB, just want to cover just a couple small headlines. So, let's see. So from tennis, there's an umpire, Antonio Casa. He's banned until 2031 for betting violations. Smart move,
Hmm.
buddy. Um, Rafael Nadal set to come back for the French. Uh, and let's see, the
Oh yeah, it's
French
almost it's
Open.
almost time for that stuff to start
Yeah,
up again. Right?
that's right. And Rafa's coming back to reclaim his dominance. He's the king of play. I think the French tournament starts sometime next month. So
Right.
we could potentially see Rafa have one last chance at greatness. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's it for tennis. And then for golf, something which I
Oh,
know
the
we're going to cover.
Masters. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's right. Scott Scheffler, he got a
Scheffler.
second green jacket. Second one in 3 years. First one he won was in 2022. So he could potentially be solidifying himself as golf's newest star. And then, of course, with the events of the annual Boston Marathon, Evans Chibet, he was upset. Well, not upset. Like he was going for a three-peat in the Boston Marathon. He won in 20 and 23, but Ethiopian runner Cisse Lima, he won it for the men. So Evans Chibet, I guess you'll have to try for a three-peat for the next 3 years. Um, and then for the women's, Helen Obiri from Kenya, she went back to back with last year and this year. So that covers the, I guess, none of the big four sports. Or so yeah, that's it for there. That's running. That's tennis, and that's about it. I guess diving into baseball. So of course, not really much changing in the standings for the AL East. Although, actually, wait, let's get this out of the way first. So of course, last week when we talked about the devastating amount of UCL injuries, Tommy John's, and internal brace procedures happening to pitchers, the curse claimed one more for this year, and unfortunately, it happened to Spencer Strider, the
Mm.
ace of the Braves rotation, and and really, like, this isn't just a huge blow for the Braves. This is a huge blow for baseball. And honestly, I don't really know what to say at this point. At this point, at this point, how can every pitcher, regardless if you're a starter or reliever, forget the MLB? What about your minor league pitcher too? How can you not be fearing that every pitch you throw could potentially put you out for a year or more? Like, I don't know how you don't fear that.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I totally agree. About the pitching. Yeah, it's been pretty devastating seeing all of that happen, especially so early on the season. We're hardly underway, and it's already seemingly having a big effect. And yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about that last week. Kind of yeah, it is pretty unfortunate. But I mean, in terms of the standings, yeah, I mean, not too much has happened really in the AL East. Yankees continuing to have a great start to the season.
Bobby Witt Jr. for the Kansas City Royals has been balling. He's been balling.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
yeah. Do you want to do
yeah,
like our usual like standings rundown thing, or
uh, I mean, since there really isn't much change,
yeah, it's kind
really,
of like the
there's
same idea, I
there isn't
guess.
really a need to do anything. I mean, I guess a couple of things worth noting is that the Reds have been on a three game win streak. Um, the Chicago White Sox still love losing.
Man, they're so
Uh,
bad.
yeah, 2-13. But
Yeah.
uh, but here's the thing: that's not the worst start to a season in recent memory. Of course, we saw the Reds a couple of years ago. They started off a season 3-22.
Oof.
That takes talent. Well,
The
lots of
Reds,
talent. Yeah.
three and
Uh,
22. My goodness. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. And they were even selling tickets for as low as $1 during that window.
Yeesh.
So
Yeah.
hey, you could have gotten a bargain, but let's see, yeah. So Houston keeps on playing. I mean, Houston's had a 2-game win streak, of course. I mean, you could still say it's early on in the season, but uh, I think, as said before, this is probably Houston's last year of legitimate championship contention. But Verlander's set to come back,
And
and
Stros
like,
are at the bottom right now. Yeah, I just realized
yeah,
that. It's an unusual position for them. At 6-11, like it almost just like caught me by surprise looking at the standings in the AL West. I know it's still early, and yeah, obviously they're missing some players that are coming back, but yeah, a little bit of a slow start for them, I guess. But I'm sure they'll find their way back. Like it's like very very early in the season, obviously. So yeah,
yeah. I guess um, what helps their case is that the Rangers have been playing 500 ball and they've lost their previous 2 games.
right.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
overall
they
the
took two
Central,
from defending champs. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So the Central, like I mean, not the Central. The AL West, anyone is still in it right
Right.
now. I mean, you can't really be saying that when you know you're not even 20 games into this season
Yeah.
right now. So,
Yeah. Everyone's still pretty much. Yeah, especially in that division, everyone's still in it. Central looks like the Guardians kind of have the upper hand. We still see the Royals and the Tigers in there as well. Yeah, looks like a three-way race there, and then the AL East Yankees right now continuing to surge or have a strong start, but the Orioles Rays are going to definitely be in the mix. Even the Red Sox and Blue Jays at around 500, and then
but
NL East looks like the Braves. Um, they seem to be doing like a bit better lately.
well,
Top of the division.
I guess maybe there is one thing worth covering. Something which took note of what something which took note a couple of days ago. Of course, we talked about the Shohei Ohtani betting situation at the
Right.
start, but now we've had more information uncovered where Ipe Mizahara, it's found that he's now actually initially supposed to be $4.5 million from the old reports. Apparently, it's now 16 million, which he's been convicted of.
Oh wow.
Or I mean, not convicted of,
Right.
charged with. Uh, so that certainly, I mean, but, I mean, does it make it more heinous? Absolutely, but uh, I'm not really too sure what to say on that one. I think the best hope. I think what's best is to just let the entire thing work out and see what happens there. I mean, of course, we did say early on during the season when we got news of this was that um, the league would do everything they could to protect Otani, and of course, this case, even the federal government has been saying Otani has been the victim of theft here against eBay. So yeah, so it certainly seems. I'm not trying to put on a tinfoil hat or anything, but it seems like Shohei's definitely getting a lot of the protection um, because like he's been made out to be the victim, and you know everything is everything is working out like that. And still, I just I don't know like something about this though. Like how do you how do reports go wrong from 4.5 million to 16? Like I'm not too sure about that one. Like at least how it could have been not reported as accurately.
Right. Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, that they do that for sure.
Yeah, guess I guess that's all the trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much just about it. Yeah, I mean, I think Braves right now, in the front, like they were for most of last season. Had a tough series against the Mets, which is kind of strange considering the way the Mets started the year. The Mets are actually looking respectable. It looked really bad in the beginning of the season. The Phils are also definitely in there.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
the Nets in their previous 10 games played, they did 7-3. So
yeah. So I mean, after that, they look like they're be in the mix this year. Probably fighting, at least keeping pace and not looking horrible. The Nats and the Marlins not really looking too great, but Phillies and Mets probably going to keep it interesting there. And then of course we know what the Phillies could do in the postseason.
I
Bucks,
mean, I
yeah,
think I think there might be a legitimate chance for Philadelphia to take the division because
potentially.
because now Strider's out. So
Strider's out. Yeah, that's going to be a huge blow for the Braves pitching. And in the Central, well, the Brewers have first. Pirates have cooled off a little bit, but still overall playing pretty well. And then the Reds, Cubs, all competitive. Cardinals at the bottom, and then West, you got the Dodgers out to the in first right now. The D-backs, Padres at 500, and then the Giants and Rockies not really looking too great like usual, but or at least the Rockies, But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's still early in the season. Um, that's just a standings update. You know, I guess another thing I wanted to mention is John Sterling retired today. Play-by-play radio voice of the Yankees for many seasons. And obviously famous for his the Yankees win calls, and just a great broadcaster. He's been there for so many years. So
it,
great caller of the game, and
he
so
could
many Yankee fans know his
cer-
voice, and yeah,
certainly been one of the voices for 4 decades now.
4 decades, yeah.
Probably a little bit more.
I think a little bit, yeah, since like I think 1980 or something, 1989 I think was his first season. So definitely one of the iconic, broadcasters in the sport and in sports as a whole. And for the Yankees, obviously, you know, um, he's been on a long ride with them, and it's pretty impressive. But yeah, so I definitely want to mention that. Also, um, yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, WNBA drafts going on. Caitlin Clark got selected first, and then I guess some of the other notable picks. Um, I don't even know. Kim Brink with the second pick going to the Sparks, and then Angel Reese teaming up with Camila Cardoso, um, on the Chicago Sky. So that's going to be interesting. Both of them, taller players. So that's going to be a tough team, I guess. But I mean, WNBA, because of the surge of Caitlin Clark, it's going to be way more popular. The Indiana
In
Fever,
theory,
in
in
theory,
theory,
I mean, the end of Indiana Fever had one nationally televised game all of last season, and this year, 36 out of their 40 are going to be televised, because Caitlin Clark's going to be playing in it. So it's going to be interesting to see if the following continues from the NCAA tournament, from Iowa, from all the fans. Let's see how this really grows. Let's see how this grows the game. In the summer. So it'll
if
be
it
it'll be
does.
interesting to see what happens if it does. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, this is probably the most hyped people have been about the WNBA. In ages. I mean, because of the players
If they
not
are,
only if they are. Not only Caitlin Clark, also Reese and Cardoso, but especially Caitlin Clark. It's been known that she was gonna make it, but hey, yeah. So that's pretty much my update on that. It's nice to see women's sports like dominating the timeline on my Twitter right now and seeing the WNBA draft updates go through. But
I mean,
yeah,
there's only one to me that's actually worth watching. That's always women's tennis, like
women's
without any
tennis.
question.
Women's tennis is great because it's on the same. It really is on the same level as men's tennis, pretty much.
Not really.
I mean, well, not really, but it's like it's broadcasted like
Oh,
what
you
I
mean
mean.
like the same platform? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the same platform. Not yeah, that it is. Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, I think that covers quite a busy week in sports. We obviously the NBA. We talked about the NBA play-in, playoffs, preview the first round, extensive hockey previewing. Still trying to analyze all the scenarios still out there. Arizona Coyotes move. We talked about baseball. We talked about the standings and John Sterling retirement. some WNBA in there. But of course, next week's going to be an exciting episode because we're going to have some NBA action to talk about. We're going to have Stanley Cup the Stanley Cup bracket finalized, which I can't wait to talk about that. I can't wait to talk about actual playoff games. It's going to bring the podcast full circle from where we started last year, and it's just one of the best times in sports when the NBA and NHL playoffs are going on simultaneously night after night. And of course, we'll have MLB coverage, and the NFL draft is going to be next Thursday, so we'll probably have coverage on that. If not next week, definitely the following week to recap what should be an eventful draft. But until next week, I'm Arnav Sarkar signing off here for Jitesh Ramakrishnan, and as always, we'll see you next time.